Hi, I'm Olivia. This is AV Club, and today I'm going to be doing a recent book haul. These books are arcs that I've gotten. They are used horror and thriller, and also a pretty rare book that I came across, so I'm excited to talk about them today. The first books that I'm going to talk about are arcs that I actually came across in an op shop. So they aren't arcs that were sent to me, but they're books that don't come out till like April, and they looked interesting to me, so I went ahead and picked them up. The first I've actually already started because I'm so excited about it. It's called Gatsby by Jane Crowther, and it's put out by the Borough Press, and this is going to come out in April. But it is a Great Gatsby retelling, modern day and gender swapped, and the Gatsby character is an influencer. I know not everyone loves to read about fame, influencers, money, wealth, that kind of thing, but I'm really liking it, and it's kind of giving me Lana Del Rey vibes. And I even did read the author's note at the end, and she was like, I wrote this while listening to Lana Del Rey, and I was like, great, because that's exactly what I was already getting. And I love that tagline, everybody knows Gatsby. I think it's a good promo tagline. And the writing style of it is kind of the literary style that the original book was written in, but not in a pretentious way. But I feel like everything that's been brought up so far, it makes sense. So I'm excited to continue reading this. The next arc that I picked up was See How They Fall by Rachel Paris, which has this cool family isn't everything fake flap. And this is a Australian thriller. A little synopsis they give you says, meet the Turners, the owners of a global luxury goods empire in Australia's most powerful dynasty. Following the death of the patriarch, the family gathers at an exclusive property north of Sydney to discuss his estate. Tensions rise when an illegitimate heir arrives, and the weekend ends in tragedy. One family member is dead and another is fighting for their life. And the review that I briefly read of it, that it was a locked room thriller, which that really appeals to me. I definitely do want to read more Australian genre books, so I'm really excited to have found this. And the last arc that I picked up, which is also coming out in April, is called Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley, and blurbed as a love story for the ages. Good songs come from love, great songs come from heartbreak. For fans of One Day, Daisy Jones and the Six, and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, Deep Cuts is your next obsession. And I did like both Daisy Jones and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It's not something that would have necessarily caught my eye as comp titles that would make me feel like I need to read it, but I do like something that's about music, and this one is 2000s music, and it says from Brooklyn bars to San Francisco dance floors. I like a love story, and I like that kind of music scene. I think that that'll appeal to me. I wouldn't have wanted to read another book that was really like Daisy Jones. I think this is going to be more my speed. The next books are also used books, not arcs. One that I'm really interested to get to is Dare Me by Megan Abbott, who I've read from before, read something more recently. I know the name. But it says Heather's Meet Fight Club, and it's about a cheerleading thriller situation. I think cheerleaders infighting and a competitiveness that's outside of the general competition that they're supposed to be feeling. It says that it provides a harrowing glimpse into the dark heart of the all-American girl. And then people that I trust on Goodreads liked it. I'm pretty sure I saw Sean really liked this from the story time. So that appeals to me. I always love having some extra thrillers on hand, and I do kind of I don't know if it's a school actually. I don't know if it's a private cheer squad or if it's set within a school. But I love Heather's. And honestly, I really liked Fight Club. I feel like I don't revisit that I liked Chuck Palahniuk books anymore, but I did like them whenever, that was the first author that I really loved. I read all of his books that were out whenever I was in in between like 8th and 9th grade. I read all of them and then never picked them up again. So I haven't read anything since then. So I don't know if they're still good, but I loved them then. All of these books that I found, like these were all like $3 at the op shop, and what a good deal, because these were all books that I like eventually wanted to read from here on out. The next one being My Absolute Darling by Gabrielle Talent. And I think that this one is like a young girl who is like demonstrating like sociopathic tendencies. It says at 14, Turtle Alvison knows the use of every gun on her wall. She knows how to snare a rabbit, sharpen a blade, and splint a bone. She knows her daddy loves her more than anything else in the world, and he'll do whatever it takes to keep her with him. But she doesn't know why she feels so different from the other girls at school. Sometimes the people you're supposed to trust are the ones who do most harm. I don't know exactly. Like, I hear people talk about this in conversation, but I've never gotten the full grasp of what it's about, and the back of it's not really helping me either, and that's like okay with me. Like, all I really need is like a little bit of something to know it's like probably going to be my speed, and that, you know, if other people like it, then it's probably gonna be something I'll like as well. I don't know that I'm sure a Stephen King blurb does a lot for a lot of people, but I feel like he blurbs all kinds of things and it's not very helpful. I also found a horror that I've been hearing about forever that I've wanted to read, and that is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. I just feel like everyone has read this except for me. And I think I like started it on ebook one time on Scribd, which Scribd is on my phone, and I just don't love reading ebooks on my phone that are like this long. So I'm glad that I found a physical copy of it, but let's get to the synopsis. It was supposed to be a simple publicity stunt. 4 famous horror authors spending the night in one of the world's most notorious haunted houses. And it's like set in the Kansas countryside. For years it's remained empty, overgrown, abandoned. Soon the door will be open for the first time in decades, but something is waiting, lurking in the shadows, anxious to meet its new guest. When best-selling horror author Sam McGarver is invited to spend Halloween night in one of the world's most infamous haunted houses, he reluctantly agrees. At least he won't be alone. Joining him are 3 other masters of the macabre, writers who have helped shape modern horror. But what begins as a simple publicity stunt will become a fight for survival. The entity they have awakened will follow them, torment them, threatening to make them a part of the bloody legacy of Kill Creek. Like, I love a haunted house book, and especially one that's like so loved. It makes me like very hopeful that it'll hit for me. And I like something that the characters are writers. Like, I like reading about writers. I have very high hopes for this one. I don't know if I should I wait for Halloween since it's set at Halloween? It seems like one that like could be a pretty solid win. You know, it's like hopes get set so high at Halloween time, like you want it to be like something really good that you don't want to have like a mid-Halloween read. Something to think about it. Let me know if you've read this one. Another one that I've been wanting to read for a while, and I'm glad it found its way into my life, is Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? I think actually the only Sally Rooney I've read so far is Normal People. But from what I was hearing whenever this was coming out, this is probably the one that I would want to get to next. And the synopsis: Alice, a novelist, meets Felix, who works in a warehouse, and asks him if he'd like to travel to Rome with her. In Dublin, her best friend Eileen is getting over a breakup and slips back into flirting with Simon, a man she's known since childhood. Alex, Felix, Eileen, and Simon are still young, but life is catching up with them. They desire each other, they delude each other, they worry about sex and friendship in the times they live in. Will they find a way to believe in a beautiful world? I love a good heartbreaking book. And honestly, I don't know if it's because I read it on audiobook, but I might be one of the only people that actually liked the TV adaptation of Normal People, maybe even more than the book. But that might just be because like Paul Mescal just kind of really sold it for me. And Daisy was really good as well. But I think whenever I'm ready to have like a heartbreaking kind of lush romantic kind of novel, I'm glad this will be waiting for me. The last book I found, I am so surprised, so grateful. But I found a pretty rare book at the op shop for $3, and that's a first edition of Mad Max, the novelization of the movie by Terry Kay. And yeah, I got this for $3, and then there's only like a couple of copies of it on eBay for like over $400. So it's, I think, pretty rare, and it's in pretty good condition, except for like you can kind of see that like maybe a child bit the bottom corner. So but I'm just happy that I'm not planning on selling this anytime soon. I'm happy to have it. So I think that why it might be so rare, there was like a republished edition that had like the illustrated film cover on it that's like not quite so rare. But it's just kind of the thing where it's kind of like a pulpy movie that's really become kind of a cult classic, and then this is a very pulpy novelization. So I just don't think that people would have been like rushing to go get it, but also taking very good care of it. So I'm very excited to have found it. Let's see how the book describes this story. Mad Max will make you stab for the break until the very last page. Your blood will turn to ice and your eyes will squirm with horror. Bullet down the spine of Suicide Highway with a toe cutter, Bubba Zanetti and Johnny the Boy hissing with revenge for the death of their hero, the Knight Rider, killed after a frenzied car chase with Mad Cop Max. Mad Max, Jim the Goose, and Fifi McAfee follow a twisted trail of highway smashes, torture, and brutality in pursuit of the nomad bikies. I think it's appropriate to be interrupted by very Australiana sounds in the background here while talking about this book. Mad Max will career you into a metallic volcano, exploding with fiendish crimes, lightning chase scenes, and one man's madness against a gang of bike-riding psychopaths. Hit the road with Mad Max and crash the hot metal nightmare of a lifetime. Stephen King and Hunter S. Thompson eat your hearts out. That's big words. That's big words. Gosh, I like want to keep this as in good condition as possible. I'm very curious to understand the story in book format. It's been so long since I've seen the original Mad Max movie, and I don't remember a lot of the plot. I remember it was more about like biker gangs, and it's kind of like the Mad Max continuum of movies is across like a pretty wide span of time, where this is just like kind of near future dystopian Australia, and then, you know, Fury Road's a little bit further along in the water wars, etc. So just so excited to have this. But those were just like some of the books that I've gotten lately. I've gotten some more on ebook, but I was really excited to like find those arcs, to find that rare book, and like some other books that had been on my, you know, mental TBR for a while, for years. So I'm really glad that I came across them. But what books have you been picking up? Have you read any of these? Let me know what you thought about them, and I will talk to y'all again soon. Bye!